Okay, so today's lesson is 6-2, solving inequalities with multiplication and division. So once again, this isn't very different than solving equations with multiplication and division. There's one slight difference when we multiply or divide by a negative number, and we'll see that in some examples that we do. So say, for instance, you had the equation b divided by 7, or inequality rather, b divided by 7 is greater than or equal to 25. Just like with an equation, what we would do is we would multiply both sides by 7 in order to get the 7s to cancel out, and then you would have b is greater than or equal to 175. So once again, that's not any different than what we've done before. Another example, though, would be, what if we had negative 2/5 times p is less than negative 14? Well, what we'd like to do there is multiply both sides by the reciprocal of negative 2/5, which would be negative 5/2. So we're going to multiply both sides by negative 5/2. Remember that the 14 is a 14 over 1. So over on this side, we get everything to cancel out. We're left with p. On the right-hand side, the 2 will go into 14 7 times. So we have a negative 7 times a negative 5, which is 35. Now, the difference is with inequalities compared to equations is whenever you multiply or divide by a negative number, then the inequality symbol changes direction. It flips and will change to the other direction. So instead of being a less than as it is here, it's going to become a greater than. So p is greater than 35. And then, of course, we would graph that with 35 being there, an open circle, and then we would shade to, not erase, that isn't what I wanted to do. We want to shade to the right. So let's shade to the right. Okay, so we'll look at another example. Okay, so say we had negative, let's try this again. If we had negative 5t is greater than or equal to 275, we would, in order to solve it, divide both sides by a negative 5. The negative 5s would cancel out, and we would have t is greater than or equal to 55, negative 55. But we have to remember the rule. It's not really greater than or equal to. We want to erase that because since we divided both sides by a negative number, the inequality symbol changes direction and it becomes t is less than or equal to negative 55. So when we go to graph this, we will have our number line with negative 55 on it, and we will put a closed circle this time because of the line underneath the inequality symbol, because it can be equal to negative 55. And then we will shade, this time, everything to the left. And that's it. So everything is exactly the same as if it was equations. The only difference is that when you multiply each side or divide each side by a negative number, then you need to remember to reverse the direction of the inequality symbol. And that's it. Everything else is exactly the same as before. So that's it for today.